Gyfeillion. Maen nhw'n dweud os ydych chi'n fach ac mae hyn yn wir am genedloedd yn y cystal â phobl, yna mae'n well i chi fod yn glyfar. Fi erioed amser pan oedd mwy o angen hynny, oherwydd mae hwn yn gyfnod peryglus i Gymru. Mae yn dyfodol yn cael ei bennu gan bobl yn Llundain sydd ddim yn hudio taten am ein buddiannau, a chan bobl ym Mae Caerdydd sy'n rhoi ei buddiannau pleidiol cil o flaen buddiannau ei gwlad. In London, Jeremy Corbyn, who has always supported a hollow red Brexit, is locked in a macabre embrace with Theresa May, who between temper tantrums still clings to her blue Brexit, cold and lifeless, which even leavers say is worse than what we already have. There's little to distinguish between them in this toxic tango of pathetic procrastination. It sounds like the worst episode of Strictly ever. The only difference is that Corbyn wants May to lead, so when the music stops, it's her that we all blame. May, meanwhile, tired of asking the iceberg to move, has decided that the ship of state must go down with its captain. We can perhaps excuse Corbyn and May so far as Wales is concerned. They hardly know where it is. But the First Minister of Wales has no such excuse. 2 months ago, he agreed with us in the Senedd when he supported our amendment calling on the UK government to make immediate preparations for a further referendum. He's been rowing so far and so fast in the opposite direction ever since the British Olympic Committee has been in touch to see if he and Jeremy Corbyn will sign up for the lightweight coxless pairs. Which, as the aficionados will know, is a rowing event not involving the Attorney General. In these dangerous times, we need people to say what they believe and act accordingly. In 1944, Aneurin Bevan, writing under the alias Celticus, penned a book with the title, Why Not Trust the Tories? If he were alive today, he would have to change the title. It would read, Why Not Trust Labour? Even in 1944, Bevan turned his fire on Labour ministers in the wartime coalition government. He said they were being corrupted by the blandishments of high office. Little has changed down the decades. Corbyn, serial rebel that he has been in the past, is now putting a general election before a people's vote because he wants to be Prime Minister. We in Plaid Cymru have known, of course, for some time that duplicity lies at the heart of Labour. They say one thing and do another. They say they will support you, but not now, not yet. They're full of bold claims and loud declarations about regenerating our valleys, building metros, even yesterday, planting trees when they planted just 10% of the trees they promised 10 years ago. More trees have been felled, producing glossy document after document for this Labour government than they've ever nurtured. Their claims are hollow, their delivery weak, their outcomes poor, their excuses flimsy. And when they stand for election, they shamelessly claim they're standing up for Wales. But no, friends, the people of Wales are beginning to see through them. When he goes to Downing Street to complain yet again that Wales is being sidelined, Mark Drakeford may be standing up, but his head is bowed. It's no longer good enough just to stand up for Wales. You have to fight for Wales, and only Plaid Cymru is capable of that. If Mrs. May brings back a floor deal, typically she is in a state of permanent indecision, we shall vote against it for the third time. 3 tries for every Welshman and every Welsh woman who deserve better, to protect Welsh jobs, Welsh farms and Welsh communities, to keep us inside the customs union and the single market, and by giving the people a final say with a people's vote, giving us the chance to remain inside the European Union too. Friends, with the British state in a state of emergency, we are at a crossroads as a people. We face a historic choice between a new Wales and the old Wales, between dependency's begging bowl or the seeds of homegrown success, between the Wales of the dented shield or the soaring arrow of our own ambition. The old Wales is the Wales we have known most of our lives. Gwalia derelicta, the land of the great dream and the swift disaster of huge potential unmet. This is Labour's legacy to us. Mark Drakeford talked in the leadership campaign in his party of ushering in 21st century socialism. Only in Labour's Wales could the advent of a new century be presented as something fresh and invigorating 18 years in. Where have you been, Mark? Well, there's a simple answer to that, isn't there? In government. Mark Drakeford says that Wales will be at the front of the queue for post-Brexit relief. And yes, it's right to demand that we are given every penny that we're owed. And Westminster owes this country a lot, not just in the event of a botched Brexit, but centuries of economic exploitation, of wealth ripped out of the land beneath our feet by our own hands for someone else's profit, for a measly wage at best, though all too often, for all too many, a painful early death. Wales needs a Marshall Plan. Whatever happens over the next few days, weeks and months. But these are not crumbs from the rich man's table. They are reparations for centuries of neglect. We seek economic justice for our country. But to achieve that, we have to stop selling ourselves short and to start standing tall for real. What we want from Westminster is not charity, but help to help ourselves. The Irish don't carry a begging bowl. They issue demands. So here are our demands. If you rip us out of the EU against our will, with no plan, no strategy, no safety net, then we want every penny of the 2.5 billion structural funds we would have had in the next EU funding period. Plus the matching funds that both Labour and Conservative governments have continually denied us. To give us a £5 billion fund and a fighting chance for us to rebuild our own fortunes, a Green New Deal for Wales. We want to have all the powers over taxes that are key to prosperity devolved to us in Wales. Construction is in crisis and tourism is being held back. So let's lower VAT for both to see those sectors boom. And yes, if it's right to devolve air passenger duty to Scotland and Northern Ireland, then devolve it to Wales too. Or sack Alan Cairns as Welsh Secretary and appoint him. And appoint him Minister for Bristol. I tell you what, you can do that anyway, because that's what he is. If the DUP is to be given a seat at the table at future trade talks, then we demand a Welsh seat and a Welsh veto too. We demand that all products made in Wales are clearly labelled as such, not rendered invisible. Not rendered invisible in a sea of red, white and blue. We want the power to decide over migration policy for Wales, so we can build a country that is welcoming and open to the talent we will need to be internationally successful. And if you deny us these reasonable demands, then we only have one left. And that's the right to ask our people whether we would be better to take control of our future as an independent member of a European Union. not anymore some second-class region in a failing British state. Mark Drakeford doesn't do demands, he does concessions. This is what he said about the Tories a few weeks ago. Theirs is a grace and favour version of devolution, in which London always remains supreme, in which powers are given, not won in a referendum, and that can equally and easily be taken away. And this from a man who gave our powers away in capitulating over the Continuity Act. He says frequently at the dispatch box how disappointed he is in me. Well, not half as disappointed as I am in him, I can tell you. Never leading the charge. Always ready to stand, shaking his head, wringing his hands, shuffling his papers and dragging his feet, always ready to stand at the front of the queue in defeat. 2021, the year of the next election, will be when the new Wales of this new millennium finally comes of age. It's time for that new Wales to take the reins. This has to be the choice and the change we make, otherwise the new democracy we've been creating these last 20 years will wither. If we don't kick away Labour's grip on Wales, we will continue with drift and mediocrity, and our economy and culture will be stifled, and hope itself will begin to die. It doesn't have to be that way. A new spirit in Wales is rising. The new Wales we're fighting for is one that is self-confident, optimistic, ambitious, dynamic. To get there, we need a bit of Warren Gatland spirit. As well as having a rugby team that's forgotten how to lose, we need to be a nation that forgets how to lose. It's about building belief and confidence. This is what Gatland says. If you want something badly enough and really believe it can happen, it often does. One of the more unsung heroes, perhaps, of this great Welsh success story is a son of this city, Robin McBride, who went south to serve the nation, the forward coach for 13 years with 4 Grand Slams to his name. Robin McBride is a symbol of what Wales could be. Not just the brief flashes of individual brilliance and dizzying improvisation, but the professionalism of careful preparation, of discipline, of focus, of doing things properly, consistently, and seeing the results. As McBride said in the run-up to the Irish game, the more you succeed, the more you realize there is no secret formula. It's a combination of self-belief and self-discipline. That's what we will need to win in 2 years' time. We want to win not for ourselves, but for Wales. Not to put Plaid Cymru in power for its own sake, but to start building the new Wales we so desperately need. So we're aiming for government in 2021 with every ounce of our energy, our determination, our intelligence, and we're putting in place the election machinery to get us there. Plaid AMs in the Senedd now meet as the shadow cabinet. We're looking for candidates with a calibre to be cabinet ministers. That's a signal of our intention. Our essential message is about radical delivery, new ideas implemented well with a deep-rooted sense of urgency. Take just 1 week, this week in the Senedd. We've seen a key 2016 manifesto pledge of a strengthened public services ombudsman delivered. Plaid Cymru put justice for the WASPy women on the agenda. Women born in the 1950s who will lose tens of thousands of pounds under Tory pension plans travel to Cardiff from across Wales to see their elected representatives speak for them and see the Welsh Government mandated by Plaid Cymru to look at what legal action it can take to support their cause. Moments earlier, our Senedd became the first parliament in the world to express its solidarity for the Kurds who are on hunger strike, protesting the political imprisonment of their brothers and sisters and the right to recognize their homeland. While UKIP may call to scrap our Senedd, 2 very different sections of Welsh society came together under the roof of their national parliament to see democracy in Wales work for them. Plaid Cymru is already delivering in opposition. Just think what we will do in government. Nowhere is this more apt than in the economic sphere. What we have at present is a risk-averse economy department inside a failing government led by a lackluster minister. Take in inward investment, which this government values more than anything else. Well, even on their own benchmark, the evidence tells us there has been a catastrophic decline in Wales since the 2016 Brexit referendum. Once again, we're slipping to the bottom of the league table. The average fall-off in inward investment across the UK was 16.5%, but for Wales, the figure was 46%. The worst performing part of the UK after Wales was the northeast of England, but it outperformed us by a huge margin. Its fall-off was only 31%. Given our extremely poor performance, there is now a powerful case to reinstate an arm's-length agency led by business people with expertise and a track record. It must be significant that Scotland and Ireland have continued to benefit from such institutions, and they have performed much better than us. So I pledge today that in 2021, an incoming Plaid Cymru government will establish a global Wales agency responsible for attracting new businesses, talent and industry from around the world, but also for putting Wales onto the global map for our exports. We'll also establish, as in Ireland, a parallel national enterprise agency responsible for development inside Wales. And a particular responsibility for this new body will be to ensure equitable investment and sustainable growth throughout Wales, in the north and west, as well as the southeast. Improving our health and social care services will be among the most urgent priorities of an incoming Plaid Cymru government. We have underway within the party a care commission, which will be reporting before the end of the year. Some priorities are already clear. We will introduce a national care service, providing social care free at the point of delivery to all who need it. We will slash bureaucracy in the health service, ensuring democratic accountability, and target resources in the community, nearer to people's homes, and not always at the hospital, delivering services through flexible, multidisciplinary teams. All these will take time to come on stream. Meanwhile, the people of Wales want immediate improvements. A major problem for many patients is getting hospital appointments at the time they have to wait before receiving treatment. Here again, the challenge is achieving effectiveness in terms of delivery. During the 5 years to 2017, the money we spent on our hospitals rose from 4 billion to nearly 5 billion. Yet during that time, the number of patients waiting more than 26 weeks to begin their treatment more than doubled, from 12,000 to nearly 26,000. Not that you will ever hear a Welsh Labour health minister ever taking responsibility for this. And Eileen Bevan again famously said after the creation of the NHS that the sound of a dropped bedpan would reverberate around Westminster. Well, the thing that reverberates around the Senedd most are ministerial excuses. It's always the health board's fault, never the government that appoints them. In the UK, Scotland has the best performing health service for waiting times. One reason for this success has been that in 2011, the SNP Scottish Government passed a Patient Rights Act. Amongst its provisions, it places a legal requirement on health boards that once inpatient and day case treatment has been agreed, patients must receive that treatment within 12 weeks. So today, I pledge that in 2021, an incoming Plaid Cymru government will be committed to introducing a similar act, which will also include other rights beyond waiting times, for example, to transparency over medical records, mental health support, and carer support. Turning to education, we are already committed to spending more. It's internationally recognized that countries should spend at least 6% of their GDP on education. In Wales, that would equate currently to £3.7 billion. In fact, we spend 2.6 billion, which is just over 4% of our GDP. So there is a spending gap which we will endeavour to fill. But effective delivery is not always about money. And it's certainly not always about making policy initiatives and interventions constantly. This is especially the case with education policy. Quite simply, in this field, we are suffering from policy overload. This is what Colin Skinner, a recently retired primary head teacher in Cardiff for 22 years, told the Western Mail in January, referring to the schools inspector at Estyn. Heads are unable to cope with impossible demands set from on high by a range of bureaucratic people who have no idea what schools bring to their communities. So an incoming Plaid Cymru government will have this pledge for teachers. After 2021, we will call a halt to unnecessary interference and new initiatives that get in the way of what you do best, teaching in your classrooms. When the Finns introduced their world-beating education reforms in the 1970s, the next thing they did was crucial. They then committed to stop the endless merry-go-round of initiatives and central diktats. We will follow what the Finns did with such success. We will do our utmost to raise the status of teachers by ensuring they are better qualified and better paid. Then we will say, let our teachers teach. Gyfeillion, i ni ym Mhlaid Cymru, mae pob cwr o'n cenedl yn werthfawr. Oedd y diweddar Phil Williams yn arfer dweud, iddo gael ei eni yn Rhydegau a'i fagu yn Bargoed, ei fod wrth ei fodd yn byw yn Aberystwyth, oherwydd ar ôl gwaith fe allai fe gyrraedd tafarn yn unrhyw ran o Gymru, cael peint a bod yn ôl adre cyn amser cau. Dwedodd e hefyd ei fod yn meddwl ei fod wedi gyrru ar hyd pob ffordd a bu yn y wlad, a hynny hyd yn oed cyn y technoleg satnaf y cyfrannodd e at ei greu. Rydyn ni'n gwbl effro i'r her o adeiladu'r blaid yn blaid i Gymru gyfan. Rydyn ni ymwybodol fod mynd i'r afel a'r her honno yn golygu torri drwyddo o'r newydd y tu hwnt i'n cadwlneuoedd hanesyddol. Ond wrth i ni ennill tir newydd, rhywbeth i ymfalchio ynddo fe, i ni fel Plaid Cymru, bob amser fydd y lefel gyson o gefnogaeth i'r blaid hon yn y rannau yma o'r byd yn y gorllewin Cymraeg. Fydden ni yn bersonol ddim yn aelod etholedig ond i bai am hynny. Felly gadewch i mi ddatgan yn glir o lwyfan Pontio a Ninas Bangor a Prynhawn yma. Dinas fywiog amlddiwylliannol sydd oedd galon y clwstwr hwnnw o rialtwch ac egni lle mae'r Gymraeg yn iaith feunyddiol fyw i fwyafrif y boblogaeth o hyd, a mae sawl un eisoes yn cyfeirio ati fel dinas y fennau. Fyddwn ni byth yn cymeryd yn ganiatawol y gefnogaeth yma fel y mae'r Blaid Lafur wedi cymeryd yn ganiatawol i cefnogaeth nhw. Mae yna gyfrifoldeb arno ni i'r ardaloedd sydd wedi cefnogi ni am genedlaethau. Cyfrifoldeb o safbwynt y blaid, ond yn fwy na hynny, cyfrifoldeb i'r genedl. Gan fod y troedle hwn a blaengaredd y sir hon cadernid Gwynedd sydd wedi arloesi wrth osod y Gymraeg wrth raidd i bywyd sifig a chynnal yr iaith yma yn cynnig mewn welediad o'r hyn y gallwn adeiladu arno ar hyd y gorllewin o lan faes i lan sawel a'i efelychu yng Nghymru gyfan. A nyn yn cyfarfod ym Mangor, rydym yn fwy nag ymwybodol o'r heriau economaidd sy'n wynebu Gwynedd ac Ynys Môn yn benodol. Ac o ran yr iaith, wrth gwrs, derbynir fod cyswllt anhepgor rhwng parhad y Gymraeg fel iaith fyw a ffyniant economi'r gorllewin. Dyma ysgogiad felly, os buodd na un erioed, i alw am strategaeth economaidd gynhwysfawr i'r ranbarth yma. Dyna pam galwodd y blaid am sefydlu cwmni ynni cenedlaethol ar Ynys Môn, fel dewis amgen i Wylfa newydd. Heb os, fe fydd creu cynllun economaidd newydd i'r gogledd orllewin sy'n cydnabod y cyswllt hwnnw rhwng yr iaith ac economi yn flaenllaw yn ein manifesto cyn etholiad 2021. Dan arweiniad. a phwy well i arwain y strategaeth yma yn y ranbarth yma a thrwy Gymru gyfan na'r un amhoriorwerth fydd yn weinidog cyllid ar economi yn llywodraeth nesaf y blaen. Mi fydd ffurfio y llywodraeth honno yn fodd i ni o'r diwedd drwy'r Llywodraeth Genedlaethol adeiladu dyfodol ffyniannus i'r gorllewin a'r gogledd orllewin. Buan daw y diwrnod hwnnw. Ond yn y cyfamser, mae'n fy lloni i weld fod Arfor, sef yr enw fathwyd i gresialu'r cysyniad yma gen i nôl yn 2013, bellach wedi troi'n weithredu. Diolch i ddylanwad Plaid Cymru yn genedlaethol yn y Senedd a'r cydweithio rhwng y 4 awdurdod lleol lle mae Plaid Cymru eisoes yn llywodraethu yn ddyn nhw yma yn y gorllewin. Mae gennym egin strategaeth economaidd ieithyddol i'r ranbarth. Pwy feddylia bod cydnabod a hyrwyddo ranbarth y gorllewin Cymraeg bellach yn bolisi swyddogol llywodraeth lafur Brydeinig yn Gaerdydd? Fe adeiladwn ar hyn pan fyddwn ni fel cenedlaetholwyr yn arwain yn llywodraeth ni. Wrth i Arfor dyfu a datblygu, gall dargedu buddsoddiad i'r gorllewin a grymuso'r ranbarth gyda phwerau datblygu economaidd strategol. Gallwn wrth droi'r patrwm o ddiboblogi gwledig fi'n un o nodweddion hanner gorllewinol Cymru dros yr hanner canrif diwetha, a mwy. Mae pobl ifeg wedi bod yn gadael am gyffro a chyfleoedd y dinasoedd mwy yn Lloegr a Chaerdydd, gan adael tai yn wag i fewnfudwyr hŷn cyfoethog. Rhaid troi'r darlun hwn ar ei ben. Dylen mewnfudwyr ni o siaradwyr Cymraeg yn ei 20au a'i 30au lifo yma tua'r gorllewin. Dyle dinas Menai fod yn ganolbwynt datblygu. Dylid i throi yn brif ddinas y Gymru Gymraeg gyda'r nod o'i gwneud yn fagnet i siaradwyr Cymraeg ifanc fel y digwyddodd i Gaerdydd. Ar yr un pryd, mae angen buddsoddi dychmygus yn y seilwaith cludiant, cyhoeddus mwyn gwneud yn siŵr y bydd yn hawdd teithio rhwng prif ganolfannau poblogaeth Arfor. Dylid ymestyn yr astudiaeth dichanoldeb i ail-agor y lein reilffordd o Gyfyrddin i Aberystwyth i gynnwys y llwybr cyfan i'r gogledd at Fangor. Dylai ail-agor y reilffordd i Langefni ac ymlaen i Amlwch fod yn uchelgais pellach o ran creu cyfleoedd yng ngogledd ddwyren Ynys Môn hefyd. Un o brif amcanion Arfor fydd creu proses o dwf trefol am y tro cyntaf o blaid yr iaith Gymraeg, nid ar ei thrail, am gyfle, am her, am gyfrifoldeb. Wrth graidd yn gweledigaeth, mae cenedl wedi ei thrawsnewid ym mhob hanfod. Yr ydym yn wynebu yn y ddegawd i ddod don ar ôl ton o newid. O heriau newid hinsawdd neu boblogaeth sy'n hyneiddio, i fygythiadau a chyfleoedd yn economi oherwydd automeiddio, o geir heb yrwyr i ddronau a dellusrwydd artiffisial, i newid y ffordd yr ydym yn byw, yn gweithio ac yn dysgu. Mae angen i ni chwilio, ledled y byd am feddwl radical, a roi ysbryd arloesol, entrepreneuraidd ac arbrofol wrth galon llywodraeth. Rhaid i ni beidio a sefyll ar gyrion ein hanes yn hunain ac yn hytrach ddechrau llunio'r dyfodol. Dywedodd y nofelydd Cwrt Vonnegut yn ei gyfweliad ola, mae'r un peth na fi gan unrhyw lywodraeth erioed oedd gweinidog dros y dyfodol. Felly rwy'n falch o gyhoeddi. Mae ni fydd y wlad gyntaf yn y byd i gael gweinidog dros y dyfodol ac yn ein cabinet cysgodol pwy well i ymgymryd ar swydd newydd sbon hon na'r aelod ienga yn y Senedd, Delyth Jewel. Mae newid yn y gwynt. Mae yn calonnau. Mae arrain gwefusau. Ond gyfeillion, os ydym ni am newid Cymru, yna mae rhaid i ninne hefyd newid. Os yw Cymru am newid, mae'n rhaid i blaid Cymru ddod yn blaid sy'n ennill. Rwy'n falch o'r ymgyrch arweinyddol a wnaethon ni gynnal yr haf diwetha. Fe gawsom ddadl adeiladol a gwar. Fe ddeithon ni drwy'r broses yn gryfach fel plaid. Does dim amheuaeth fod yn haelodau wedi cael chwistrelliad o egni, ac yn wir mae llawer mwy wedi ymuno â ni. Datgelodd yr ymgyrch awydd ymysg aelodau Plaid Cymru am newid. A roedd eisiau newid yn y blaid, ac o'ch chi eisiau yn anad dim newid Cymru. Rhaid i ni newid a'n cenedl tuag at ddod yn gryfach, yn gyfoethocach ac yn fwy hyderus. Bydd hyn yn gwneud i fwy o bobl pleidleisio droson ni a bod yn fwy parod wedyn i ymuno â ni ar y ffordd i ni wedi mapio allan tuag at annibyniaeth. Yr unig ffordd y gallwn ni roi'r arweiniad hwn, wrth gwrs, yw os byddwn ni'n ffurfio llywodraeth nesaf. Dyna pam ei bod mor hanfodol traws newid ein plaid. Oni fyddwn ni'n gwneud hynny, ac mewn ffordd flaengar ac agored, yna pryn fydd yn gobeithio'n o ffurfio'r llywodraeth nesaf. Beth dwi'n olygu wrth newid y blaid? Yn fras rhaid i ni fod yn fwy agored. Edrych tuag allan, dod yn haws cyrraedd atom ac apelio mwy at y pleidleiswyr. Fel yr rhan fwyaf o fudiadau, mae gan bleidiau gwleidyddol weithiau rhyw duedd i syllu ar yn bogel yn hunain, sefyllfa arferol yw bod ni'n obsesiynol falle, a mae'n gweithgareddau ni, yn cysylltiadau mewnol, pryderon arbennig ni, hyd yn oed ar brydiau ein cwarelon. A rydym yn ceisio troi hynny nawr ar ei phen, ac edrych mas at Gymru, ac edrych tua'r gorwel i'r Gymru newydd. A maes polisi economaidd yr enghraifft. I ni wedi ffurfio grŵp polisi dan gydaraddiaeth ein ymgynghorydd economaidd i'r Philip Gwilym. Mae'n cynnwys arbenigwyr sydd i bod yn cyd-ymdeimlo ar hyn yr ydym yn ceisio i wneud, heb fod yn aelodau'r blaid bob un o'n. Ond maent yn dod â chyfoeth o ddoethineb fydd yn helpu ni i wneud ein cynnig economaidd ni yn fwy credadwy. Dyna'r hyn rwy'n olygu am ddatblygu'r polisi'r blaid mewn modd sy'n wynebu allan tua'r byd. Cyn belled yma trefniadaeth yn y cwestiwn, i ni eisoes yn dechrau gweithredu llawer o'r argymellion yn adroddiad Angus Robertson a gomisiynwyd gennym fis Hydref ddiwetha. A rydym yn sefydlu uned ymgyrchu genedlaethol dan gyfarwyddyd Carl Harris yn pennau strategaeth newydd. I ni hefyd wedi uno gweithrediadau'r blaid ar draws y Seneddau, a dystiolaeth amlyca o'r hyn yw llwyddiant a gawsom wrth ymateb i gymlethodau Brexit dros y misoedd diwetha, wrth ffurfio pwyllgor Brexit yn cynnwys yn aelodau seneddol, Arglwydd Wigley, Jill yn y Senedd ac aelodau'r cynulliad ynghyd â'r staff allweddol. Friends, I want to pause here and recall that until Christmas, a leading member of our Brexit group was Stefan Lewis. His influence was immense. In particular, his role was decisive following the publication of the withdrawal agreement last summer. When the Welsh government brought a motion to the Assembly which simply noted the deal's existence without taking a view, Stefan argued that was unacceptable. He brought forward amendments calling for the UK to stay in the European single market and the customs union and to extend Article 50. As ever, Stefan's voice was prophetic. Just before Christmas, there were remarkable scenes in the Senedd when the Welsh government dramatically backed Stefan's amendments that deleted almost all of its own motion. Backbench Labour AMs simply agreed with the force of Stefan's arguments that it was the duty of Wales' elected legislature to express a view on whether or not the Prime Minister's deal should be accepted. That is just a small part of Stefan's legacy. It will stand as an inspiration to us every step we take until we claim our freedom in his name for Celyn and all our children's sake. I want to say a few words about ways we will be delivering our message in the run-up to the 2021 election. In the Senedd, we will soon be joined by a young and dynamic head of communications, Cereth Rhys-Jones. One of his first priorities will be to make us the digital innovators in Welsh politics. We saw in 2016 how the Leave side used technology to dishonest and devastating effect. Well, why should the devil have all the best memes? You will have seen two other innovations in the past few weeks, the launch of the think tank Nova Cambria, its website and its print journal New Nation. These are initiatives, are examples of what I mean when I say that Plaid and the national movement must change to become more engaging and outward-facing to the world. Nova Cambria has been deliberately created as a separate autonomous organisation precisely to enable it to engage with a wide range of political views across Wales and beyond. Friends, we're on course to be the next Welsh government. I'll say that again, it feels good. We're on course to be the next Welsh government. Now we're getting somewhere. The feeling is tangible. It's in this hall. And it's not just that our opponents in both the Tory and Labour parties are literally disintegrating into competing factions. It's in the reception we are getting at meetings up and down Wales. It's in the steady flow of new members, including activists from other parties who are joining us. It's being reflected in the opinion polls. The BBC's St David's Day poll put us on 27% in the constituency vote for the Senedd, ahead of the Tories and within touching distance of Labour. It's our highest position in the polls for 16 years. But it's not just the polls. In actual votes cast across Wales in recent months, we've won 6 out of 8 local by-elections. Karen Davies won in Saron, Nia Behi won in Aberystwyth North, Stefan Lewis won in the Amman Valley, Luke Fletcher won in Pencoed, Mike Hartree won in Dinas Powys, and Andrea Gibson won in Ely in the First Minister's own constituency. Of course, the biggest by-election is happening in just under a fortnight in Newport West. The fact that it's in Newport should be a good omen for us. I am confident we'll do well. We have a superb candidate in Jonathan Clark who's already fought 3 general elections and 2 Senedd elections for us. He's a great team around him. And the response on the doorstep is incredibly positive. I know, I've been there twice already. I urge you all to get along to Newport in the next 2 weeks. It's an exhilarating experience. People come back smiling from canvassing. That says it all. You know, people's doors, their hearts and their minds are open to us. Let's take this opportunity. What I'm absolutely sure of this is of this. Newport West will show that, as Leanne has demonstrated in Rhondda, there is no part of Wales where Plaid cannot make progress. As I said at the outset, these are perilous times for our country. The British state looks close to cracking up, and yet at the same time its so-called political elite wants to drag us out of the European Union. Tomorrow, hundreds of thousands of concerned citizens from throughout these islands will march through London in opposition to this willful destruction. Our thoughts and our hearts will be with them. We say to them and to our friends across Europe, they may try and take Wales out of the heart of Europe, but they cannot take Europe out of our hearts. I want to pay tribute to one person in particular who has stood consistently, implacably, and with tremendous courage for more than 4 decades for the idea that in our hearts we are indelibly Welsh Europeans. She was born in the Rhondda, where she still lives. She's been a councillor there. She's been chair of CND Cymru. She's been chair of our party. She was a member for 4 years of the European Committee of the Regions. She has supported all manner of radical causes. She's campaigned on behalf of the Kurds, the Palestinians, the Western Saharans and countless other peoples, not least her own. Most important of all, she has been a member of the European Parliament since 1999. In that role, she's burnished our reputation as a party dedicated to international cooperation. She has been president of the European Free Alliance and is vice president of the Greens and IFA group in the European Parliament. She is, of course, Jill Evans, our Jill. But perhaps in view of the high regard in which she is held, we should confer upon her the title Madame Pays de Galles. Like us, Jill passionately wants Wales to stay within the European Union. But she's never been an advocate of the status quo. For decades, Jill has been holding up a mirror in Madrid, in Paris, in London and Berlin of a Europe that could be to the Europe that is. That's the choice the whole of Europe will face in a few short weeks in a European parliamentary election in which we may yet participate. Get ready, Jill. We'll need you. The Europe of remote and unaccountable power, or the Europe of diverse and deep-rooted democracy. That's the choice. In classical analogy, it's a choice between being Greece or being Rome. Rome was the center of an empire, of a world view that depended on domination by force of arms. On the other hand, Greece was the home of the tiny city-state of Athens that gave the world a transformational idea that we can best shape our destiny by shaping it together. And for Athenian democracy to flourish, it can't be built in the abstract. It has to be built at a human scale, where people are connected in places with a history and culture that helps us understand where we've been and what we might become. That's the idea at the heart of Plaid Cymru's sense of Europe. Self-determination is our Europe's foundational idea and a fundamental right for all Europeans. Because if we cannot determine ourselves, then we are condemned to be prisoners of fate, not authors of our destiny. For some of our comrades across Europe, and especially in Catalonia, that is now literally true. There is a war raging between the Europe of Rome and Athens, between the Europe of power and the Europe of peoples. And incredible as it may seem in 2019, this battle has now literally produced refugees and prisoners of war. Oriol Junqueras is leader of the Republican left in Catalonia. Following the Catalan independence referendum of October 2017, the Spanish state arrested Oriol and other members of the Catalan government on trumped-up charges of rebellion and sedition. Oriol's trial began in February this year. Along with 8 other politicians, he faces a sentence of up to 25 years. Today, from this hall, we say to the Spanish state, you can imprison a man, but you cannot imprison an idea. You can exile a woman, but you cannot banish a dream. We are all Oriol. And that is why we are so proud that he is Plaid Cymru and the European Free Alliance's candidate for the presidency of the European Commission. His fight and his fate is all of ours and all of Europe's. For democracy denied to one people is democracy denied to all. And let's be clear about one thing. Brexit does not represent taking back control for our people. It involves moving power from one end of the Eurostar to the other, at neither end of which do we currently have a seat at the top table. And no, Alan Cairns does not count. Alan Cairns never counts. And as we know only too well, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're probably on the menu. Leaving the European Union is no answer to our democratic deficit as a nation. We want to join the European Union as an independent member, trebling our number of MPs, giving us a commissioner, the presidency of the council on a rotating basis, and billions of cohesion funding until we are brought back up to decent levels of prosperity. When did London ever offer us that? In the words of the great Winnie Ewing, stop the world, we want to get on. The young in Wales, in Catalonia, will no longer accept our democracy denied, our future deferred. And by young, I mean those not just young in age, but young in spirit too. Like the 90-year-olds I met outside a polling station in Barcelona in the 2017 referendum. They would not go home until they had voted. They had been waiting for that moment all of their lives. This is what they said, and what we say here now too. Our goal is a modest one, but we cannot renounce it. Though you place us in chains, real or metaphorical, we want to be ourselves together. We want to be free, and sooner, not later, we will.